Okay.
Okay, I would like to say my name is Bob Gary. That's what everybody knows me by. However, my professional name is Dr. Robert R. Gary, and if you have a military background, I am Colonel Robert R. Gary, retired. As I recall, I was about 12 years old when my family arrived here in Seattle. And you say, how did they get here? Well, that will be a long story in itself. But they came via the north, the west, and then the northwest. And there were a lot of things that caused them to move around. One, moving from the south was a great opportunity for them to earn a living. Then moving to the west, unfortunately, the military and the wars had some impact on why that happened. So they went to the state of Arizona, and that was required by the federal government. They went to the state of Nevada, and that was required by the military. Then my dad had to go and fight in World War II. And while he was in World War II, and he was following General Patton around in Europe, we were here in Seattle with my family and extended family. Now, I graduated from Garfield High School and attended Washington State University. After Washington State University, I had a job with the United States government. I was in the military. Second lieutenant, same as Cliff here. And then that's where my career started. And I spent 32 years on active duty and reserve duty in the military. But let me go back to my profession. I'm a professional educator. I am now retired. But when I graduated from Washington State University, had it not been for the Army having my destiny already decided, I would not have had a job. Because at that time, my advisors in 1955, 56 at Washington State University said to me, where are you going to work once you graduate from college? They are not hiring any African Americans or colored people in the state of Washington or in Seattle. But I didn't accept that. So I went into the service, came back out. Then I applied to Seattle Public Schools. So after I had substituted, that's not on contract, for a year, they finally found, I guess, that I was qualified. So they started me out as an elementary teacher. I went through elementary teaching there, junior high teaching there. But you see, that was not my goal. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be the first black coach in the state of Washington. I wanted to coach track and field. That's how I got my start. So after a number of years, I continued to look after that job. So finally, I was hired at Meany Junior High School for 1 year. Second year, an opening occurred at Garfield. They gave me the job or the appointment in Garfield. So I went to Garfield, and I was the first black coach in the state of Washington in any sport. But my discipline, I was a head track coach and assistant football. Now, we won the first championship that Garfield had ever won in the last 15 years, that first year. So there I stayed at Garfield. I taught there. I ended up as the assistant principal there. But as it turned out, other opportunities came about. So I left Garfield and went into the Renton School District as a principal. There's a difference between of being an assistant and being a head principal. So I stayed in Renton for several years, and so they came and recruited me back to Garfield. And then they said, we want you to start the middle school efforts in Seattle Public Schools. So I began that, and then I moved on up through the ranks and ended up as one of the assistant administrators at the central office. One of my jobs as an administrator was to hire blacks. There were no blacks in Seattle Public Schools. I'm about number 5 on the number list of being hired. So when I came back after the 3rd year, they said we need to integrate our schools, because at that time they changed the structure from going to residence or neighborhood schools or going to integrated schools. So I was given the privilege of going across the country interviewing black teachers, and we hired on about 100. And I didn't have any bars. They said, if you feel they are qualified, you hire them, you give them a contract, but then there's one other thing. Where are they going to live when they come back to Seattle? Because still open housing still wasn't open housing as it is today. So I had to work on with churches and fraternal organization and individuals in helping those people have housing, because all of them were young graduates, first time. Majority of them had never been to the Pacific Northwest. Today, 90% of them stayed, and they are now in every capacity in this district and others, and many of them are retired, as I am. So that was part of my professional background. But you see, Cliff didn't tell you that while we were educators, you just don't become an educator and stop there. Education continues forever. We were required to go to school during the summer to upgrade or continually upgrading our skills, where we would end up with masters and with PhD degrees, because you couldn't stop with a first degree. And that's true today. So we have gone and we have set the standards for this district and a lot of districts in the state plus the country through our hard work.